Not really any new injury updates for those of you that want to ask. Everybody's still day to day. I'm not sure yet. We'll have to see how practice goes this week to see if we get anybody back. But they are a lot of guys that are day to day. We're still pretty banged up in terms of that. Don't anticipate getting a ton of guys back, but we'll see. We'll see how the week goes. I won't know until the end of the week after the next 3 days of practice. So with that, we'll go ahead and open it up for questions.
Well, Coach, after the game, you mentioned, everything's open for changing things on defense. What have you guys talked about over the last couple of days?
I think the biggest thing is to keep the simplification for our players, to make sure our communication is at a high level, to make sure we have better run fits. We were very loose in the run fits. Whether it's D linemen, it's safeties, it's backers, we were very loose. And when you do that, you leave gaps exposed. When you have two really good running backs like they do, they make you pay. I thought their O-line blocked well. We did not get off blocks as well. So we got to do a better job getting off blocks, and we got to tighten those run fits up. I think that's the biggest thing.
Was in a sling before the game, didn't play. How much was he missed, especially in the run game?
Well, you're missing two out of your starting three safeties, and that was Reggie and Muddy. So their presence and by the way they play, you miss your starters, but that doesn't mean that you don't have good backups, and we have to go in and perform, and we have to do a good job of playing well around those guys too, just like we did in Morgantown. We did it the week before, and so certainly last week, this week won't be much different. But those two guys are good players, and their presence in the run game is of value. Of high value to us.
Shifting to Kansas, can you talk about
Yep.
their run game? Neal, young guy, but apparently he's been pretty effective the last.
He's a good
couple
back.
Weeks.
Yeah, he is a young guy, and I think right there, a local guy, highly recruited young man, highly touted young man. He's talented. So is the kid from Rockdale, number 12. He's a talented player. Was a dual threat quarterback in high school, running and throwing, I think, for about 2,500 yards each. Won the state championship for Coach Miller down there. Really good program, and I like both those guys. I think they're both good backs.
Hey, Coach, in going back and watching the film, I know you mentioned about the run fits and getting off blocks. Was there anything schematically in terms of, especially early in the game, that maybe y'all wish y'all had done differently, like more people in the box against the run? Well, obviously TCU was lining up to run the ball.
Yeah, believe it or not, we were in four-man front 40-some% of the time, way more than three-man front. I know that's a misnomer out there because you base out of a three-down. But, we were in four-down fronts. We were in five-man, which ends up being pressures. And whether you run a backer through with three-down linemen that becomes a fourth, it's the same thing as how you get to a four-man front. Or four down, or rushing the passer, or defending the run. And so we certainly did it with five. We even did it in certain situations, and obviously these are more, they were last week, short yardage and goal line, but six-man pressure. So we were in a variety of those. I think, Jarrett, there's always things that you go back and as coaches, and you got to be careful because you can second-guess every single call. And, you make calls because they're calculated, because they're you game plan during the week, and I think you can always question, and then scheme does not look not look good when you're getting run through. And so, that's we got to tighten it up. We got to be better schematically. And whether that's simplification and doing exactly what our guys can do against what we're going against. And so it's, again, this week's a different animal. And so you got week to week, and that's football too, and that's defensive football, I should say. And so certainly I think scheme and the things that I've mentioned about are always things that you're always evaluating.
And then given the success Texas and TCU had, is it safe to assume y'all are expecting the rest of the Big 12 to try and do the same, to try and line up and run the ball right at y'all?
Well, Kansas does that anyway. They're going to try to run it, and they've got certainly, I think the guy that's leading them, the quarterback, Bean, is very athletic. He's got speed. He's got straight line speed. He can hit home runs, and they got QB run game. So that's something that we got to concern ourselves with, is those two backs and his ability to run the ball too, because you got to have quarterback run accounted for in everything that you do.
And then when you have a a game like Saturday night, what do you do as a head coach to get back up and going for this week?
That's what we do. You deal with wins, you deal with losses, and for me personally, the result of a game is not going to define me over a 25 career or 9 years as being a head coach. I'm talking to Jared. Yeah. But it's not going to define me, and when I say that, I mean that sincerely. Since you asked the personal question, there's nobody I'm gonna let outwork me. I'm gonna work my tail off. Our staff is. I'm gonna be passionate about my kids. But when you talk about my faith and my family and how I treat my staff and my players, that's the stuff that defines me. I report to one man here on earth, and that's Kirby Hocutt, and that's his opinion, and that is what I answer to. Nobody likes to lose a game. Nobody does that invest. And the people and the coaches, the players that invest so much, and you empty your tank, it's an emotional draining, either euphoria if you win, and what you try not to let it do is demoralize you when you lose. And then so you say, okay, what did we do well? What did we not do so well? And what do we need to improve on? And you just keep doing it. And that's a 12-game season. We're halfway through. We're 4-2. And we do that. Are we disappointed? Heck yeah. You kidding me? I had a lot of disappointed coaches and players because of how much we invested. But to say that that's going to go affect us this week, that's my goal, is to not let one loss create two losses, and to have a great practice today and winning today. And that's, I think, the consistency that I'm going to try to lead with, Jared, for our staff and our team. But it doesn't mean you don't have feelings and you're not disappointed. And that doesn't mean Saturday night and Sunday morning wasn't real fun. It really wasn't. Sunday was not fun. But we get up and we go, and we see if we can win today and how we practice today, and then tomorrow put our players in the best position we can, get them inspired to go play well, and for them to play well too. And I think that they would say the same thing, because I had disappointed players in the locker room, and I had disappointed players on Sunday, and those were guys that emptied their tank, and they invested a lot during the week. And we're going to continue to do that for 6 more weeks. And that's a season, and do everything we can to get to win number 5 this week.
Have had a lot of success against Kansas in the past. Obviously, new season, new team. But how can having this matchup midway through the season kind of hopefully get you guys back on track?
It's just the next game. It's who we play next, and certainly I think it's this game this week. Whether it's Kansas, if it was Kansas State, it wouldn't matter. It's about us. It's about how we do things. It's about how we respond to. Whether it's some football adversity, respond to a loss, how we're going to practice, how we're going to be great teammates and better coaches this week.
Kansas defense has allowed a lot of points scored on them so far. How does your offense, plan to kind of take advantage of that this weekend?
Well, I think it's all about our execution, what we need to do to get the balls in the hands of our playmakers. Eric and KG on the perimeter, all the H's on the inside, our tight ends, certainly Sir Roderick. And X at running back. You got to get the balls in the hands of your playmakers. We got to run the ball. I think anytime you go on the road, you got to run the ball to win.
And then how have you just seen specific players, step up over the past couple of days? I know it's only been a couple of days since the loss, but just to kind of get you guys back on a positive mindset.
Yeah, we've got good leaders. I think we've got good captains. Those guys care. Those guys are very disappointed because they continue to empty the tank, and they invest a whole lot, and they're going to continue to invest. And I've been proud the way they've acted here the last couple of days. They've been good.
Coach, how has Henry performed? And after looking at his tape, how do you feel like he's performed after taking over for Tyler?
Henry's been very consistent and very solid. I think what you see on Saturdays is what we've seen during the week. He continues to throw the ball fairly accurate. He pulls the ball down. He's made good, sound decisions. He's not throwing the ball up for grabs. He's gotten us in and out of a few plays in a very efficient manner, and he's done a nice job.
And does Henry have control at the line to check out of
some things?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about investment from the players in terms of bouncing back from a loss. How have you seen the locker room different in that regard here in year 3 compared to when you started your first year?
This press conference would run over if you really want me to answer that in full. and I mean that sincerely. We are completely different than 2 years ago, and it's because of that investment. It's the character of these kids. They're high quality kids. I think they've got good hearts. Their work ethic has been really good, and I think they're really trying to invest in what it takes to win on a consistent basis, and that's our goal in flipping this program to be a consistent winner. And we certainly, Saturday night, what happened is we missed an opportunity to stack success, to take one win and make it into two, and that's what it was. We missed that opportunity. It was a great opportunity. We missed it, and TCU earned that victory. We did not. So now we got to, try to find a way to win again, and then if we can do that, then you stack success. And that's really trying to change the program, and that's the hardest thing. But I've been proud of these players, and they continue to invest. And when you do that and you put yourself out there as coaches and as players for public, for fans and everything like that, and you don't win, there is a disappointment. And you got to fill your tank back up and go out and prepare and practice well and give yourself a chance again the next Saturday. But that's competition at this level.
Coach, I know you mentioned it talking about the TCU game and heading into Kansas. You don't want to see the defense. They were against TCU just missing coming off some blocks, missing tackles and whatnot. But with Colin Schooler, kind of what have you seen from him at the beginning of the year? We've talked about him a lot over last year in the offseason, just his ability. He's one of the nation's leaders in tackles for loss. How can you see him leading this team going forward if that's one of the major issues?
He's been a great leader, and he's been a really good player. He certainly was at Arizona, and he has been since he's been here. Does not disappoint. He just prepares the right way. He cares. He's a football junkie. He practices well. He practices well every day, and he goes out and plays well, and he's very consistent. He could play all three backer spots if we needed him to.
How much do you expect, him, Rico, any of those types of leaders to talk to the rest of the team if you were saying like, hey, the tackles weren't there in this last game? How much do you lean on them to also help lead that unit?
I think that's what we all want, and I've said it plenty of times up here, is you want a player-led team. You want a player-led program, and where those guys are leading from within. I think there's certainly elements of that you see way more this year than you ever did, going back to Phil's question 2 years ago.
I guess finally going into a game like this, I know every game is this way, but how much do you guys talk about a hunger of winning and playing, not with desperation, but playing with a certain hunger when you're going against a team like Kansas, who they're going to be pretty desperate for a win at this point?
We're desperate for a win. We're desperate for a win every week. I don't think that changes, to be honest with you.
Coach, back to Henry a little bit. It seemed like he ran the ball more last year than he has this year. Is that just the difference in the – it's not like it was necessarily designed, but it seemed like he had the ability to run a little bit more last year. Has that changed at all in the two? I know it's only been a couple games.
It's two different offenses, first of all. So, if you're referring to QB run game with him last year, possibly you're probably right a little bit.
Is that the reason? Is Donovan – do you like what Donovan has done during his packages?
No, I think Donovan's done a nice job, and his package is expanded. We just kind of really haven't gotten to it yet, but it'll continue to be expanded. But Donovan, the moment certainly has not been too big for him. He's practiced well. He's performed well. He takes care of the football. It's been a very kind of smooth, in-series transition between the two. There's not any drop-off with Henry, like the very next play that he goes in. And so they've done it real well, and I think Sonny's done a nice job of just kind of managing that, but molding those two guys, and it's been good. And certainly we've all seen other teams do that. I think for right now it's just kind of situationally for us, but Donovan's certainly a guy that I think we all have a lot of confidence in.
I know this falls under the injury question, but the only reason I asked, TJ left the game on a cart, but I saw him after the game walking by himself. Is he?
He's still walking.
He's still healthy?
Yeah, he's still walking. Yeah. I didn't hear you. You mumbled. For the record.
Coach, how much does practice change? You said you're kind of obviously trying to fix some of those defensive miscues, I guess, from this last week. And does practice change much in that regard, or are you just kind of going back to the drawing board?
Oh, it's not. I don't know about how practice changes, because at this point in the year, we're certainly not adding to practice because you're balancing workload, you're balancing being physical, you're balancing needing more run fits and more time, and you're also balancing week 7, and we're still another 3 weeks from bye week. And so we know those reps are cumulative. So you're trying to manage their bodies and make sure that they're fresh and they're as fresh as they can be to get to this point. Certainly Kansas is coming off a bye week. They'll be a little fresher. I know that. But, I think you think about all those things when you're constructing your practice plan, and they all go into account. I mean, you got to think about all those things.
Being 2 wins away from being bowl eligible, do you guys talk about that at all, or is it just, again?
No, it's win number 5. It's win on Tuesday today, and hopefully we can find a way on Saturday, and that's what we talk about. We talk about how do we get to number 5 this week.
Coach, also, I know we've asked about this earlier in the season, different guys stepping up, but it felt like there was a series or two there, kind of middle to late in the game, where I know Trey Cleveland, Mason Tharp were really stepping up. But what kind of guys have you seen whenever, Easy was either out or now that he came back didn't have as much production? Have you been happy with the different guys that have been stepping up what you've seen around?
Yeah, those guys, we talked about that postgame. All those offensive skill guys are really stepping up. Kalen has been as consistent as any of them. Mason has, you mentioned Mason, Trey, Loic. They've all come up. And then all 3 H's, I can't say enough about Miles Price, Dalton Rigdon, and McLean. Mannix, those guys are playing on special teams, and they're playing H, and they're doing a nice job. They really are.
Coach, Krishan had a really good year last year. I think he led the team in tackles or was among the team leaders in tackles. And it seems like this year he's not getting as many snaps. I was just wondering what the reason is for that.
He's playing behind Rico right now, and so that's, we're playing with Rico and Colin in the box, Josiah and Randall and Big Cheetah outside on the edge. We rotated a little bit. Right now, Rico's playing good and Colin's playing good, and certainly he'll get his opportunities to get in a game and to play. And that's about all I can say, for that. It's a competitive position. I know that. It's a competitive position with good depth, and they're all staying healthy right now.
It was like Josiah is playing, I don't know if he's playing more than y'all thought, but more than maybe some of us thought coming into the year. What does he bring to the team?
He brings, his athleticism. He picked up on what we're doing, Jarrett, pretty quickly. He's a force. He's a thicker body out on the edge in a perimeter because he's playing our Sam right now. So he gives you that.
Any other questions? What kind of egg do you eat?
What?
We had this for breakfast. What kind of egg do you eat? We had this conversation with Don right before you walked, and they told me I had to ask the question.
What kind of egg do I eat? Is that the direct question? Oh.
Over easy?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say, okay, so if I go to a restaurant and I order eggs and bacon, I'm going over easy. But if I'm at the house, I'm making scrambled eggs. And then, Jen makes egg sandwiches quite a bit, so that's scrambled eggs. So I'd say both of those 2 types. I know there's multiple other kinds. Sunny side up, right? Over medium. What else? Poached? Yeah, I'm not into that, but some are. What do you like, Don?
Over easy guy or scrambled myself.
Yeah, we're see eye to eye with you, Don. Don, did you really just go through a press conference and not ask a question today?
I was questioned out after Saturday night.
Okay. All right. Appreciate y'all coming. Okay. Guys and girls.
Would like to lead us off.
DeMarcus, I guess what's the message to the defense, especially after a Sunday where you guys kind of watch that tape?
We already watched it, put it down, put it behind us as well. How I see it is we're 4-2, and, we can make it better, we can make it worse. So come to practice, have your head high, and still be encouraged, and just be here, just be where your feet are, and just be able to move forward.
I guess what's the feeling when you kind of have that sort of performance twice in a year, especially in Big 12?
Big 12 is, it's not an easy conference. You have ups and downs in seasons, and our biggest thing is putting together a complete game, and just being able to do that, I feel like it'll help us out a lot.
For you personally, personally, what do you feel you didn't do to kind of play to your potential, or that didn't help the defense?
I feel like just being able to touch more guys as well, and getting people ready for the game, just as any aspect. I feel like you do a lot during the day through being a student athlete, and I feel like, some people are going through things and some people are not, and just be able to figure out your teammates as well and being there for them.
In terms of what, I guess, happened in that game, do you kind of feel like maybe that win kind of translated to that and maybe you guys didn't play to your potential early on?
No, I just feel like we just didn't start fast enough. I feel like we didn't start fast enough. I know for me, we didn't have an edge on our defense. And I feel like, it's just corrections that we could change.
Last one for me. In terms of Jason being another running quarterback, I guess, what have you guys seen from him over the last couple of years?
I know he uses feet very well, and I know the quarterback and the running back are very talented people. And just like anybody, we're going to put up a game plan to stop them, and that's what we're going to do.
Marcus, I know when they talk about the run game on a defense and whatnot, it's usually the front seven, the D-line and whatnot. What do people not know about the secondary and your role in a run game defense?
We're definitely involved in everything. So, we have our eyes on the running back and quarterback from the start. And just like anything, everybody has to run to the ball, all 11 people. So one gets in there, then the rest of us come. So I feel like we need to preach more about that too as well.
How much do you take that, being one of the leaders in the secondary and the defense as well, how much do you take that on yourself and your guys' unit to make sure that run defense does improve over the next few games?
Take it serious, man. I just know that, like I said, man, it's going to start at practice first, and we're going to have to just do what we got to do just to win the game.
And whether it's Kansas going forward, whatever for you guys, what do you want to prove going forward? What do you want people to take away from the next couple of games?
I want people to see our identity and see who we are. And I want to be able to put back-to-back wins together as well. Unfortunately, it starts with one first, and then we go to the next. So I feel like that's a big key for us.
Yeah, DeMarcus, what were some of the glaring things that stood out on film that you're like, oh, that's where we kind of had our biggest issue?
Just guys, just little small stuff. Like I always say, it's 111 got to do their job. One person messes up on defense, it looks bad for everybody. So most of the things was just putting the edge on our defense and tackling. I feel like those are one of the two important things that we should have done better in that game, and that's what we just got to do.
You guys obviously have a lot of season left, about half, I guess, or midway through. Having this Kansas matchup this weekend, how do you feel like this game can hopefully just get you guys back on track?
Like I told him, just winning that first, just winning this game, being 1-0 this week, and striving for next week as well, and just having stack of success. I feel like doing that will help us out in the long run as well, and that's what we plan on doing.
Not having Reggie Pearson and Muddy Waters. I know you guys got to deal with injuries and whatnot, but what did they bring to the defense that might be missing?
They brought a lot to the defense. The defense really built around them guys, and not having them out there is it's very sad, very bad and stuff. But like we preach every day, next man up mentality. So the guys behind them have to play just like them guys. And we need them to play just like them guys. And I feel like we're going to get this week.
What has made this Kansas game so difficult the last couple of years? I mean, you guys went by a field goal last year. It's just been a close contest.
Yeah, it's underdogs versus underdogs. And, I kind of like the matchup. And I know them guys are going to give us everything they got. I know we went to the wire last year and the wire the year before that one. So I just know they're going to come out and give us everything they got. I think it's their homecoming as well. So I know they're going to be juiced up, and we just can't think any less of them because it's Kansas. So we're going to come out there and ready to play.
In terms of bouncing back from a loss and responding to a game like that, How have you seen the reaction in the locker room different this year from maybe when Coach Wells started 2 years ago?
Really being together. We lose together collectively, and learning how to move on as well. The game is behind us. There ain't nothing we could do differently from the game, so we just have to move on. And I feel like the difference between this team and 2 years ago is that we don't have any stragglers out there thinking about anything else. We're focused on the team and the team itself. That's it.
Any last questions?
All right, thank you. Guys, appreciate y'all. So Brady, put right next to you.
So, Roderick, obviously not the outcome you guys wanted on Saturday, but you personally had a great game. How are you feeling? Do you feel like you're back in the groove, feeling like your old self?
Yeah, I feel good. After a game like that, there's usually not a lot of things you feel good about, but we know that I came off an injury, so having a game like that, it made me feel good, made me feel confident.
How do you hope this next week? What's the, game plan? Trying to get you guys back on track against Kansas this week, and what have you been preparing for to go against their defense?
Well, we just know, obviously we know, the past couple of years, we played them kind of tight, so they're going to be flying around, and I think it's their homecoming. So, yeah, this is a big energy game for them. So we just got to start fast, and then just make the plays in the beginning of the game to take the crowd out of it, really.
So Roderick, is from a leadership perspective, I guess what did you contribute after Saturday's loss, or I guess Sunday going into film?
Well, the biggest thing is that it's just that's just one game, so to say. We're still 4-2 on the or 4-2 on the season, and like that game shouldn't really like define us or define our offense or anything like that. So that's how I was just looking at it like that.
From an offensive perspective, I guess, how did you feel you all started compared to how you finished, and what was different?
Well, specifically for myself, I started out pretty slow. I had one run in my first carry, really. I was one-on-one with safety, got tripped up. That one should have been a bigger gain. And then we all saw that play on third down. I couldn't get my footing. If I get my footing, that's the first down. And then who knows, we go down and score maybe. But, yeah, we just started kind of pretty slow.
In terms of that, when you kind of see that on film, is it frustrating, or I guess what are your feelings when you kind of see if you plant your foot a certain way or something and you get a first down, how that changes a game, or is that something that you can't really kind of dive into because then that's kind of a rabbit hole?
Yeah, I don't really dive into it like that. Like we obviously know like if I play my foot a different way, then yeah, that's probably the first down. But like that's water under the bridge now. So
I guess when you guys kind of reset for the week, I guess who are some of the players? I know you have captains, but who's kind of been vocal about kind of getting back, stacking success? You guys have kind of mentioned the last couple of days.
it's pretty much everybody because everybody knows what we should be doing. Like the captains, we'll say it, we'll bring it up, but like it's pretty much everybody like enforcing it or trying to at least.
Kind of ask you, but I guess when you look at the Kansas defense, I guess what stands out about them is that their defensive line or maybe their corners.
They have a good safety. Number one, he's a good safety to me. I feel like he comes downhill, and he's not afraid to get in the mix.
So, Roger, Coach Wells talking about the run game being important to get a road victory just in general. I know you're not the only guy that gets carries, but being the leader of that one, how much do you take that on yourself to really set that tone and be the go-to guy, specifically in road game atmospheres?
Yeah, I think that's a big responsibility just because we've seen how a run game can, like, take the crowd out of it and, like, it slows down the game and it just lets you do a lot of different things on offense as well. So I feel like if we can control the ground game, then we'll be fine.
And not so much with how you're feeling, but how much do you feel like you're back as far as production-wise, what you've shown out there, how much the coaching staff is trusting you to carry? Do you think they're full go with you back in the roster? How do you feel like you've been used so far?
I feel like everything has been pretty good. Like they worked me in as best as they could, and yeah, that's all I got.
And finally, where's the what do you want people to take away from these next few games if they were watching you guys and just going into a game like this where Kansas hasn't had much success in recent years, but just the hunger they're going to be playing with and the desperation to get a victory? How do you guys really attack that and make sure you reach that same level?
Can you ask it again?
Just like do you guys talk about the hunger it takes every game, because you'll be run up against some teams like Kansas that are going to be pretty desperate for any sort of victory?
Oh yeah. We're not gonna look over anybody, like, because we're in a good league. We know that like on any given Saturday, anything can happen. Just like I think 2 years ago, Kansas went to Texas and they gave them a good game. So we know like anything can happen.
Obviously, last game was your best game since coming off that injury. Did you sort of feel like, okay, I'm now 100% back? Yeah, pretty much. It's just, like I said, I had that first run it felt pretty good. Like if I would have kept my foot in it, obviously it would have been pretty longer. But then just some more runs throughout the game, it felt like I just felt really good out there. And so I just knew like it was going to be a pretty decent game. Was it the kind of thing you could see coming going through the week, like, okay, I'm getting there, or was it really once you took the field you realized, like, okay, I'm in for a big night?
I think it was really once I took the field, because during the week we're confident. We're always going to be confident because of the stuff that we see on film and stuff we see during practice. But like once you actually step out there and get on the field, then I feel like that's when you really get that feeling.
Since you had to go through this, how have you helped Taj kind of work through his injury that he's going through right now? And, you know, mindset-wise, have you been a leader that way off the field to try to keep him up and try to help him as he works his way back?
I hope so. Like I hope he'll think so. But yeah, I just told him like not to rush it, not to rush anything. Like. Because obviously he's been having a great season, and I know that like you want to hurry up and get back out there, and you want to hurry up and help your team as best as you can. But like you not being 100% isn't really going to help the team. So I'm just telling him just to stay patient and like just try to get his back to as 100% as you can.
Sir Roderick, there's been a lot of talk about you guys playing a complete game going into this week. So offensively, what would be some keys to getting that complete game for you guys?
Well, first, just running the ball. Like, us with the O-line is just, like, running the ball, protecting the quarterback, just things of that nature, having a forward lean, stuff like that. Just if we can do that, then we're going to play our part in having a complete game. And then we know we're going to have trust in our other teammates that they're going to do their parts in the passing game and the perimeter run game. So.
All right. Thank you, Sir Roderick.
All right.
Thanks, Sir Roderick.
Y'all.